from the beginning. All right, so we're dealing with COVID-19 safe physical education. At the end of this session, well, let me just put it this way. Every Tuesday on Twitter and Instagram, I post an activity at Canada Go for Sport. So if sometime during this session you go to Twitter or Instagram and just follow me there, then what I'm going to do, I've got a random number, and whoever has that random number in terms of subscribing during this session will get a $100 gift card from Go for Sport. So if you haven't signed up for Twitter or Instagram in terms of following Canada Go for Sport, maybe take a minute to do that now or later. I should also mention that this whole slideshow, if you go to the bottom of the middle of the screen there, www.canadagoforsport.com, then go to workshops, and then go to the very bottom, you'll see virtual workshops. So my PowerPoint, so this entire PowerPoint is on the website under workshops, under virtual presentations. So if I go too quickly, or if you're missing something, you can just go there. So with this particular slide, if you were to download that slideshow, you could just click on the cover of the COVID-19 pandemic return to school, and the whole document will come up for you. So basically what I'm doing is taking PHE Canada's guidelines and trying to help us to know how we can implement some of those activities.
John, just to interrupt, I don't think we are seeing your slideshow on the screen.
You know what? I wonder if I, let's see, let me just end show. Thank you. You know what? I didn't press share screen.
Oh, I never do that. Always.
Okay, so I think now you can see it.
Yep.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. Yeah, so once again, you can go to Canada Go for Sport and follow me on Twitter or Instagram there. Whoops, from the beginning. So if you were to go on that slideshow and you were to click on this cover, you will get the full guidelines from PHE Canada. Many of you are familiar with it, I'm sure. But just to take out some of the key points, so I'll take about 5 minutes just to kind of summarize some of the key points before we deal with the hows. Obviously, there are pushes for more individual pursuits, doing lots of activity outside, but including, if you think about things like dance or exercises without equipment, fitness, mindfulness, gymnastics, target games, leadership games. All of those are opportunities for us to engage in activity. So sometimes I think with COVID, we talk about what we can't do, and we miss some of that. But there is a lot of things that we can do. So in terms of in-school learning, some of the recommendations, again, similar to all the guidelines we know about, trying to stay 2 meters apart, small-sided games, but that's just good pedagogy. Healthy equipment management, hand washing, using outdoor spaces, using physical and visual guides in terms of where we should be moving, practice moving through spaces, stagger scheduling, and closing play structures where there's hands-on activities and so on. In terms of equipment, the biggest one is don't use equipment. Again, if you think about like rock, paper, scissors games and those kinds of games, you can do a lot of that without equipment. Avoid equipment sharing, but you can also have equipment by numbering. So maybe each student knows what number their equipment is. I know some schools are working on individualized PE kits that students would just have their own equipment that they would take to class and they could also take home. It's important to disinfect after each use and to anticipate some hygiene compromises, so have a second set of equipment available if possible. Disinfecting teaching aids, try to have clothing that's appropriate for PE so that they're not changing, otherwise they'll be crowded into a changing room, and that's kind of confined space that we don't really want them to be in. If you can't be outdoors using a gymnasium, try opening the doors. I know in Winnipeg it gets awful cold in the winter, but just getting some free airflow, using stations. Look at other outdoor spaces, golf courses, parks, any of those kind of things. Maybe have phys ed teachers rotate to each class rather than having the students move. And that's kind of a quick summary of that. For yourself, make sure you protect yourself in much the same way as you would for your students. So follow the same procedures, and ensure that students follow healthy protocol and consider wearing a mask. I think it's important to establish a disinfection routine for the equipment, and I would probably use the students to also be part of that, so that they get a sense of responsibility and know how to keep things clean. Use small size games we talked about a little earlier. I think also if you're inside a gymnasium and you have too many students, so having fewer students participate in the activities, the small size games in the space, having the extra students go to identifying spots on walls. So again, to keep those extra students, as it were, spread out. But they could be spread out and used for a game. So you might have I don't know, let's just say some kind of a soccer game, but the students on the sidelines could be engaged by kicking the ball in on the sidelines. Or you could also develop kind of a circuit of exercise stations, so that every half a minute they might rotate to the next station, So that would be another way of including them. And then perhaps every 2 or 3 minutes, switching the students that are engaged in the activity with the exercise stations. So that's by way of sort of the more theory part. If we're thinking about invasion games, I think invasion games could work well through physical distancing and not sharing equipment with hands and so on. So if I think of a game like broomball, field hockey, floor hockey, lacrosse, scoops, soccer, YOFO, these are all activities that people aren't sharing the equipment with their hands. So basically, like in broomball, they're using the brooms to move the ball around, and they're not sharing brooms. So there's no physical sharing of equipment. YOFO, if you're not familiar with it, it's how do I describe it? It's kind of like lacrosse, except it doesn't have a mesh. It has a ring that's caught and tossed, played kind of like ultimate disc. So how do we distance though? So take all those activities. So if you take the broomball, field hockey, floor hockey, lacrosse, how do we still keep physical distances? So let me just use one example here. This might be for soccer. I wouldn't use goalies, because again, goalies would be holding the ball with their hands, and I would set up some pins that players would try to knock down. I would set up a grid. So you might have 4 players, like so 2 defense, 2 forwards, and over here you'd have 2 defense and 2 forwards, and you would have maybe put some poly spots down or other markers that would define the space. You might have to have a 3 to 5 second shot rule, so that or passing rule, so they're not just holding onto the ball forever. Could add a second ball to make it just a little bit crazier. But I think a lot of these different activities would work with this kind of arrangement. Target games are obviously really great, because people could just have their own object that they're tossing or rolling, or whatever it would be. So here's one game that I think would work well this way. So this is hula hoop horseshoe. So basically they're rolling the hula hoops, trying to land the hula hoop around the pylon. So here they go.
You're on.
All right, they're playing. There we go. They're playing horseshoes, but with hula hoops. He's pretty close, not a ringer. Closer yet, and not quite a ringer.
That's Andy Raceby.
And no, it's not quite a ringer.
And Glenn Young.
One more shot. Obviously, the ringer would win it, and the one on top would win it.
So just playing hula hoop horseshoe. Again, players would have their own hula hoops and wouldn't be sharing them. And at the end of the class, they could disinfect them and bring them to the next class. Sorry. We could also do a hula hoop horseshoe race. So players would race to be the first one to get to 5. In this particular game, I started them at the same one. I probably should have started one at one pylon and the other at the other pylon to, again, minimize sharing equipment. So this is just a little race to see who can get to 5 the quickest.
So it's a hula hoop horseshoe race. And basically, you take your hula hoops, roll them, try to get it over there. Each one that you get over top is a point. There you go, 1 point. 1-1.
So here they touch each other's
There you
equipment.
go.
Be less of that
We'll
if
see
they
who gets
started at
5
opposite
first,
ends.
maybe. Yes, 2-1. So we're at 4-3. Oh, almost get it. Oh, almost 4-3, 4-3. Will she win it with this one? Not quite. Still 4-3. Oh, she got to go getters.
And eventually she does win, but that gives you the idea. But this next activity is basically disc golf, except we're using soccer balls and feet. So each player has their own soccer ball. Gopher Sport has these innovative kick bar devices, which is kind of like the disc golf. Basically, you'd roll the ball into the area here. The chains would
So a little bit of
place.
kick bar.
Oops, sorry, I think I just did it. But you don't need these the more fancy things from Gopher. You could also use
like disc
natural
golf,
objects.
They're trying to hit that
This last pull here.
post there. So they're waiting for their balls to stop rolling. There they go.
And
And now they're trying to hit that last one.
doesn't quite
And
make
B
it.
has
Rolls down the hill.
just missed it, I think. And J.
She missed it too, and then it keeps
just
rolling.
missed it, I think.
Probably being on an asphalt, not the best.
Yep, he's got it in 3.
And she's got it in 3.
Oh, they both parked.
So basically, he's doing it that way. Another game is synchro ball. Just using these long poles, and again, it's automatically physical distance, kind of like foosball. So this is a little video here.
Bring the popular game of foosball to life with Gopher's Action Synchro Ball. Teams of 6 work together to synchronize their movements and score in this life-size version of foosball. Players hold onto custom ABS poles with handles and move laterally in a designated zone to block, kick, and pass the oversized soccer ball. Keep your entire class engaged by adding players as barriers around the perimeter to keep the ball in play. Throw the second ball into play to increase the action and scoring opportunity. That includes everything needed to play the game, plus activity instructions.
So that's synchro ball. Again, you could make some of that on your own using ABS pipe and a softer ball would work really well for that as well. So this is a different kind of disc golf where we have different targets. Just do a quick one of this.
Triple the fun and challenge with one unique goal of possibilities. Gopher's triple shot disc target set. Unique 3-way joint supports 3 different sized hoops for easy customization. Simply change up hoop placements or swap around scoring flags for extra versatility. Play the traditional game of disc golf, now with a twist. Players can throw towards having the least number of points at the end of the game, or simply switch the score flags around so players now throw for the most number of points. The included score flags.
So that's a version of that. Another game is launch baseball. It's hard to see in this, but they're like little launchers. You could also use like a hand towel or a regular towel, like a small regular towel. Basically, you take the ball and you flip it using like just pulling the, taking the cloth and pulling it, and it would fly. So basically, it would go. And then the whole team would run around the bases. The other players then would eventually catch the ball or roll it up and pass it to each other, to somebody who's like on a pitcher stand, and that's when the runs would stop going. So here, we'll watch this one for a minute.
All right, nice job. Run.
So again, nobody's touching it with their hand.
They're going for 3 points.
They're running quickly.
The blue would have been 1. The defense is trying to get it. Stop!
And they finally got it, the ball here.
So the offensive team got 3 points there.
So 3 points for running all the way around, 1 point for the shorter one.
All right.
Oops, sorry. Regular golf, obviously, for the high school students would work. And then the disc golf games with the mobile stands. So there's one stand here, and there's another stand here, and they would need to have the disc go into the stand. With COVID rules, you might not need to have the disc actually go in, but if it contacts any part of this stand, then it would count. So that would limit people's getting their discs out of this shared space.
Whoa.
A little offline.
Here's a nice target game to play. A little game of disc golf with the portable Innova disc.
So they're trying to get it there. That's getting pretty close.
Make an interesting course. And this is also a great COVID-19 experience because everybody just plays their own disc.
And then again, the targets are great, but in this, you could also choose natural objects. So in this case, we're using this tree. And you could set up maybe this tree, and then maybe I want to hit this tree. You can do that one, but it might be close to the water. So we'll just do a little quick demo of this one.
All right, playing disc golf, but we're picking.
So he's trying to hit this tree.
Target. Nice throw. We're trying to get to the other tree there. So you can pick 9 different trees or picnic tables or whatever. A nice COVID activity as well, because we just used our own discs. And
net games. So playing volleyball, again, we'd be sharing, we'd be touching the volleyball for each other. So to minimize that, we could have these small parachutes, and we'd pass this ball back and forth over the net. So 3 passes per side, then it goes over, and we'd play it that way.
Team launch using a delight ball initially, passing it to each team, passing it over. Then we'll go to the heavier ball.
Oh, they got it on the floor. Now in this case, we were just using a really light ball.
Team launch,
but
using a delight ball.
Using a light ball, but you could also use like a slightly heavier ball to make it more of a workout. Oops, sorry. A lot of fitness activities require no equipment. You can see some of these activities with high knees, heel ups, walking toe touches, body twists. None of that requires any equipment. And getting, these kind of charts from here, or the charts from Thompson, are also, excellent. Many of them, again, don't require any equipment. One activity I really love is Exeropoly. Gopher has these pads, but again, you could make up just on sheets of paper different different activities. And basically, we've just like a Monopoly game, just a big square with these different activities on it. And students will then roll a dice. So if they were here at the beginning, and they roll the 3, they would go 1, 2, 3, and then whatever the activity is here, they would do it. We might set a certain number, like 5. So everybody does 5. Everybody who lands on that, everybody does 5 activities depending on where they go. Each time they get to the end, they pick up one of these. And again, it could be like a popsicle stick or whatever, and see who collects the most of these during the time. So just here's an example of it. Playing Exoropoli here. They start at the beginning, they roll a dice at each station, they do the activity a specified number of times. We're using the number 4. When they go by go, they pick up a marker, and we'll see which player can get the most markers. Ladder activities are wonderful for COVID as well. If you go to my website, you can go to agility ladders there underneath warm-ups, and there'll be like over 50 of them. Just as an example, this one here is ladders activities just with feet. Well done, well done. Just every other run. And again, the ladders could be done with tape or chalk outside. This one's ladder activities with feet and hands. Just doing a mountain climber push-up. Push-up. Next one, big step. And then with additional equipment, so this case with badminton, this is a pretty challenging activity, but hitting a bird against the wall while doing in and out lunges. There's lots of things that can be done with ladders too. That's all COVID safe as well. Oops, sorry. A lot of tag games can be done with clean pool noodles. Often with tag games, we would switch the its, but in this case, I would probably keep one it, and then those that are tagged do some kind of an activity before they're in. But the pool noodles will also give us physical distancing. Obstacle courses could be neat ways too, as long as it's done with the feet. So here's an example of one I had done earlier. In terms of COVID, I wouldn't use these, the squish steppers, because you got the hands. But the rest is all hand. Plyo jumps. Spooner across to the beginning. Back on the balance beams. Then on the squisher steppers. And he's going back. And so once again, just different obstacle courses would work well during COVID. I just wouldn't use those squish steppers. Lots of dance is going to work really great. So you'd have your dances where everybody follows everybody. So with Sierra Ontario, we produce this like a lot of different activities from the Everybody Move series, which has a CD and a DVD and things in it. So this is one of their dances. So everybody does a precise set of moves. So that's this one. If you ever had a session with Michelle or Amy on Groove, you'll know how this one works. But basically, there's no right or wrong way to do the activity, and we're not following a prescribed dance routine. We're really just expressing ourselves. So this is one of theirs dealing with swimming. And here we go.
Circle. Your body cue is swim. Move in different directions.
There's no right or wrong way to move.
Show me different strokes with your arms. Don't just do forward. Don't just do front crawl, back crawl, right backstroke, doggy paddle. As you go by them, a little hello. Yeah.
So I really love the groove way of dancing, and I love the prescribed steps as well. They're just different, but the groove one, you could make up stories. So I've made one up with Cinderella, for example, where she's not Cinderella. I think, anyways, the one that goes to dance with the prince. You know how she's mopping, and then she's riding on this chariot to the dance, and then she's dancing with the prince, and then 12 o'clock she's got to run home again. And then you could do all the different steps, have the students figure them out. So lots of dance. Oops, sorry. So this is the Everybody Move resource, available through Sierra Ontario, through Human Kinetics, through Go for Sport. A really great resource for daily physical activity, and a lot of it will be COVID safe. This is Simon Says, and what I would do with Simon Says is you'd have everybody line up on one side, and if people make a mistake, they're not eliminated, they just simply go to the other side. And if they make a mistake again, then they go to the other side. So I think we're familiar with Simon Says, but I'll just run this one quickly. So if you're on this side, move on this side. If you mess up, you're on this side. If you mess up again, you're on this side. So just move it to the legs and stuff, no legs anymore. And away we go. So Simon Says what?
Simon Says, step one.
Simon Says put them down. Put them up. Whoa, put them up over here. There we go. So we just switch sides. That works well. Simon Says do previous. So in this case, we wouldn't do the arms out until I would do something else. So it involves a little bit of more mental flexibility. So
Says
walk, you don't do anything. And it says Simon put your hands in the air, then you walk. And then it says Simon put your hands to the side, you put them up, because that was the previous one. And then if I say put your hands down, you don't. Then I say Simon put your hands up, you put it to the side. So you can have some fun with that. And then Simon Says do opposite. So if I might say touch my head, people could touch their toes. Or somebody says touch the front of my shoulders, touch the back of my shoulders. There's got to be some interpretation here that would make that work as well. And you could use all kinds of different activities. Yin Yang Yu, basically you put your hands on the top of your head, and whoever you're pointing to would be next. They would yang. They would put their hand across their abdomen, pointing to whoever, and then you points to another player. So let's just do the quick instructions here. Yang is this way. That means you're next. I go yang, you're next. And if somebody yangs me, one of those two, I would go you. And you would have to go yin. So it's basically yin, yang, you, yin, yang, you. So again, just kind of a fun little game, and maybe if somebody loses it, they would run around. Sorry, they would run around the circle and get back in place. So yin yang yu. Here's a little bit of a faster version. So it goes yin yang yu. Now if you're trying to go yin yu, you're up. Like or if you go yin or yang. Just sit down. All right? So if you're up, sit down. So we're going a little faster. I'm going to be the referee. I'll just start off now, referee. I'm Rupert. So here goes. Yin. Oh, you're up. So she would run around the circle and go on. Leadership games also work well. I'm sorry. Oh, I just lost my place here. Okay, here we go. A lot of leadership activities will also work well during COVID time. So in this case, they've got all these balls, and they're going to try to put them in this bucket, holding these strings at physical distance spaces.
Okay, here they're carrying the bucket full of little balls, and they gotta tip the bucket so that it goes into there. And they have to hold the ends of the rope. And they're almost gonna get it. Another one is carry and drop a bean bag. So similar little activity, but they got to pick up a bean bag with a Velcro on it and a Velcro on the end. Here they're trying to pick up a little piece, just with a little bit of Velcro, and then carry it over and put it in this container. And now they're going to try to shank it into that spot. If they get too much of the Velcro, it might not come up. There it goes. And there it is. Architect, just for sake of time, I'll just explain this one, but use some clothes bags, say 5 clothes bag, make a bit of a design, and then explain to the other person how to make that exact same design. And it's an exercise in communication. Numeracy, lots of different things that can be done with numeracy that are COVID-free as well. This is even and odd. And I would probably do a wall sit instead of just standing. So basically these people are all even. The people that face them are all odd. They would put out their hand. They would put out their hand. If it's an even number, this person goes for a run and this person goes against the wall. If it's an odd number, this person goes for a run and just comes back. And again, they would just play. And then while they're waiting, I would do a wall sit on the, now obviously this was done pre-COVID with all these people as close together. Just gonna pass on that one. There's also social distancing activities. Sierra, Ontario just produced a new book called Fair and Square, which is a total, all the activities are COVID-free. So again, if you go to the slideshow, you can click on this and it will take you to the Sierra, Ontario website where you could access it or purchase it. Or you can just go to Sierra, Ontario and do it that way. Now they have an 11-minute video on this. I'm not going to show it now, but if we have time, I'll show that video just a little bit later. Again, if you're looking for ideas, my website, CanadaGoForSport.com, has got over 600 different games ideas on there with actually over 300 videos. Go for Sport has great equipment with an unconditional 100% satisfaction guarantee. Although they're a bit more expensive, I think in general, the equipment lasts, and so it'll pay for itself in the long run. If you're looking for ideas, I also have over 600 pins on Pinterest with organized in 23 different boards. You can follow me, so when I put new ones on there, you can get that. On YouTube, I've got over 330 videos on YouTube, and as I post new ones, you'll be the first to see them if you subscribe at my YouTube channel. Social media, again, in a minute, or a few minutes, I will I'll pick a winner and they'll win a $100 gift card from Go for Sport. So just if you subscribe to Twitter, subscribe to my Twitter or Instagram account, which is @CanadaGoForSport. If you have any questions ever, just feel free to contact me. My heart is really, my first priority is the kids, and if I can help you make the experience more positive for the kids, that'd be great. You can just email me at johnbile50@gmail.com. But thanks for all the wonderful people like you guys too, who have done lots of conferences and people that allowed me to videotape them. Thanks to Go for Sport for their innovative products and high quality equipment. And again, you can go to my website and then workshops, and you can download the entire presentation there. Okay, I'm going to try to, let's just see if we can get back now to let's see, stop share, I guess. There we go. So now we see everybody again. That's great.
John, This is
Yes.
Barb. There was a few things that came up in the chat.
Yep.
If you, while you're looking, are you looking for that video for Fair and Square?
No, I'm not looking at it for right
Okay.
now. I can load it on if we have time. So
Okay.
I think right now is a good time to I talked long enough, but we could deal with the chat questions.
Sure. I'm going to continue without video if that's okay with everybody. There was one, where can the slideshow be accessed? But you did show the webpage for that, so I hope everybody saw that. A few questions right now about pool noodles, and they are definitely out of season. I would say get a connection if you're, especially in a smaller community, talk to if you have a local hardware store. For example, we have a Home Hardware. Sometimes they'll dig them out of storage for you if there's still some that are left. A big question was French resources. Do you know if, for example, Everybody Move is available en français, or where people could access some of those resources you talked about in French?
Yeah, I know Sarah Ontario has several resources in French. I think they have maybe 5 or 6 of their books are in French. Everybody Move is in French as well, but I don't know if they have copies. It might be out of print. I'm not exactly sure. But if you contacted the Sarah Ontario office, they would let you know. If they don't have the resource, they might still have some CDs and DVDs in French. And I think they were clearing them out for like $5 each or something. So again, if you just go to www.sierraontario.com, they would have that. You could also get pool noodles from Gopher Sports. You could order it from them. They're going to be more expensive than the pool noodles that you would get at your hardware store, or Canadian Tire store, Walmart, or those kinds of places. But like all Gopher products, they're super solid and it'll last you for a very, very long time.
Yeah, there is someone posted in the chat, and I've tried these as well. If you go to the hardware store more into the plumbing heating department, the foam insulators that they use to cover pipes,
Yes.
sometimes those work as well, or they will work. You may need to replace them. I think you might have answered this question already, but Everybody Move, is it available as an online resource? Do you know?
No, it's just a book. Well, I shouldn't say just a book. It's a book with lots of different ideas in it. It also comes with a CD with the music and things like that. And then the DVD has about 235 pages of printables. So if you, the Everybody Move book will say, do an alphabet circuit, or do a circuit with sports figures, or do a something else like that. But then on the DVD, you can just simply print each of those circuits, and they'll have 20 pages that you might need for that circuit are all printable off of the DVD.
I actually have that Everybody Move resource, and I have the Groove resources, and they are fantastic. So if you can get your hands on them, I will admit they were getting a little dusty on my shelf, but I have definitely dusted them off this year because they have come in handy. Just a note I did post in the chat, if anybody is familiar at all with electric fence posts that are used for putting up electric fencing for cattle or something, they're long plastic stakes that have a spike in the bottom. They're $3 to $5 at kind of a livestock supply place or PV Mart. I've always had a few of those in my gym, but I purchased a few more this year, and they are excellent outside for using as targets, for putting a station paper on them. I've used them for all kinds of things. So I would recommend checking that out. You'd have to go to your local livestock place there. There was another one, pool noodles, checking at a pool place like Krepco or something like that. So that is an option. There are some issues with sanitizing pool noodles. They definitely, you can't, to my understanding, you can't sanitize them and use them again the next class. If you're spraying them or sanitizing them, that would need to then sit for the required amount of time. Because it's so porous, it would be like sanitizing something that's cloth.
Right.
The type of pole is an electric fence post. So when farmers put up electric fence wiring for keeping cattle in, then that's what it is. It might have another name. I will double check, but that's what the purpose is for. Someone has said they put tape on the ends of the noodles, and that would definitely make it easier then to clean because you could wipe the tape. John, one thing that's coming up a lot with many of our schools is around cleaning equipment and having kids assist with that. It's coming up more and more. It's a workplace safety and health issue now where kids aren't to be using the sanitizer that we're using in many of our schools. It's coming now where the sanitizer, for example, in our division, we use a Swish product called Quado. You need WHMIS training to use that. So most of our staff, if they don't have WHMIS training, are also not supposed to be using it.
Okay.
That is a work in progress. It's kind of a proverbial hot mess right now, but it's becoming a big workplace health and safety issue. I hope those are the questions that I caught out of the chat. There were a few good ideas posted in there as well. Does anybody else have any questions? I guess now would be a time when you could open your mic and ask your question directly.
Right.
There is a question, what is the piece of equipment used in synchro ball that connects the students to one another?
Yeah, so it's ABS pipe, and Gopher has ABS pipe, and it's just joined with joining pieces. And then it's got handles on it, but really you could get just ABS pipe with joiners without the handles, and then players would just simply hold the ABS pipe. So, again, you don't need to buy, the Gopher product is really great and all that kind of thing, but you could probably save yourself some money by just buying the ABS pipe with the little joiners and doing it that way.
Yeah, we're getting pretty creative with our homemade equipment, I think. Kristen, you have your hand up. Do you want to open your mic and ask your question? No? Okay, we are at 9:42, so we do have just a little bit of time.
Yeah, well, let me do two things. One, see, Mark McPike, are you there? Mark McPike?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you email me at johnbile50@gmail.com, and then I'll give you the $100 gift card via email.
Woohoo!
Sure.
Congratulations, Mark.
So
Thank
that's
you.
yeah. So that's so again, johnbile50@gmail.com, and then I can just email you a copy of the card.
There's a question, is there a link to the slideshow? Yes, if you go to www.canada4sport.com, you will be able to access this slideshow on that webpage.
Yeah, so Canada Go for
Sorry.
Sport. Yeah, so if I were to spell it out, it'd be CANADAGO. But here, let me just, I guess I got to share my screen for a minute. I'll share my screen again. Okay, so CanadaGoForSport.com, and then just go to workshops. I can also, let me just take you through there. So so if you go to Canada Go for Sport, and then just workshops, and then just go to the very bottom, and you'll see the COVID one that we just did now, the ladders that we did this morning. I've also got a session on individualized physical education for K-6 and individualized physical education for 7+, so high school, and you can download those too. They're all available. And activities, sending and receiving with your feet. So a lot of soccer activities are available there as well.
There's actually a good suggestion in the chat too. If you have tinkling sticks, you could use them for synchro ball as well. You wouldn't even need to join them together. The person could hold one end and then the other end of the tinkling sticks.
Right.
Pool noodles and touching multiple kids without being cleaned. Pool noodles for me also falls in kind of that hot mess category. We want to be safe, we want to be healthy, and I think pool noodles fall into a category of the tolerance level that you have in your building, in your community. If kids are coming in our division, if kids are coming to school healthy, which is always the plan, and when they come to me, they sanitize as soon as they're coming to me. We sanitize during class, and then they sanitize before they leave. Not that sanitizer is the be all end all, but that's the formula that we are using. And so then when we are using pool noodles and touching other kids, as long as it's a clean pool noodle, so clean hands, healthy kids, clean equipment, then from there, it is a risk-taking adventure for sure.
And I don't think we have, this is an 11-minute video, so we won't have time to do that now. But if you download the PowerPoint presentation that we used for this session, you go towards the very end, you can just click on this link, and it will take you through some of the activities of Fair and Square. And basically, they're just building squares with pylons, with bean bags, with whatever, and then just doing lots of different activities. A lot of activities that we've done before, but now we're just separating it in physically distanced squares. So I would say you could look at that link. It's an 11-minute video. It's just a kind of a fun, neat, interactive video. Let me just show you a minute of it, just a couple minutes of it here. Let's just see.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, I'll just show you just a quick minute of it. So this is done by the local TV station. Maybe we're gonna get a bunch of ads first. Let's just see.
For Ontario President Chris Wilson.
So you can see the squares that they've
We
built.
can hear it, John, but we can't see it.
During this
Sorry?
quarantine.
We can hear the video, but we can't see it.
Oh, okay. Did I not do share? I thought so you are screen sharing. Stop. Okay. All right. So it doesn't look like you'll be able to see that then. So I'll stop sharing. But basically, I would suggest that you just go to the end of that slideshow, and then you can click on that link, and then you'll have 11-minute video on some of the activities in that book that are just again, a lot of normal activities that we do every day before COVID, and now we can just do it in these physically distant squares.
Okay, everybody, we are pretty close to our time. It's a day when we're Zooming from here to there, as well as Zooming while we